Hi, good morning. My name is Aria Lightfoot. I am a real estate professional, and I'm here to help Belizeans and people who want to purchase in Belize to be guided with purchasing insurance. And so I brought in one of Belize's top agents, Miss Marsha Gill. She's a senior insurance and financial advisor in the insurance industry, and she will be making a presentation to learn about insurance in Belize. If you have any questions or any comments, we just ask that you ask at the end of the presentation, and we will start going forward from here. Good morning, Marcia. Thank you for spending the time with us today. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself within the industry, and then you can begin.
Hey, good morning and greetings from Belize. Actually, sunny Belize. I see Donald has on some warm clothing. I wish I could send you some of my sunshine.
I'll be there in 2 weeks to get some more of it.
All right. Yes, yes. It's a privilege to share on the landscape of insurance in Belize. And I'm so glad that we have been getting so much interest for persons to want to be in Belize more, right? So it's a pleasure. I know in the past, it used to be referred to as the world's best secret, and I'm glad that it's no longer a secret, right? So thanks again for this opportunity. Just to introduce myself, I am a master financial advisor. I've been in the financial industry for the past 34 years, and 19 of those years I've spent in the insurance industry. So I feel that I am capable to maneuver you through the process of insurance in Belize. I have asked two of my colleagues, Samantha and Sonia, to also join us so that they can assist to answer all the questions that you may have. Basically, in Belize, residents and non-residents can access the different forms of insurance. I'll start with the health insurance because I found that that's an area too that the expats have shown much interest in. The health insurance is offered to residents. So once you have a resident status in Belize, you're able to access the health insurance, which is a comprehensive health plan. And what that means is basically it would cover everything that's medically required, ranging from normal consultation, surgical benefits, hospitalization, diagnostic testing, everything. Also, our clients have the opportunity to seek treatment in Belize as well as the region. And region for us is Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras, okay? And in emergency situation, of course, you're able to access healthcare wherever you are because we do have an overseas provider that deals with our overseas care. So our clients are covered wherever they are, okay? But as I said, with the health insurance and the life insurance, we require that you are resident or you have resident status in Belize. In line of the life insurance, we offer all type of life insurance, term insurance, whole life plans, endowment plans, retirement plans. So we are able to offer holistic insurance guide for you guys, okay? In terms of and if you want additional information, I'm just skimming over the different types of insurance, okay? But if you require more details, I'm sure you're going to ask. In terms of the property insurance, that does not require any resident status, okay? So once you own property in Belize, whether it's for personal use or for business use or a combination, because you have a lot of expats who own a property, they don't necessarily spend the entire time in Belize, but when they're not in Belize and occupying the property, they rent it out. So we're able to cover all those properties, whether the construction is wooden, concrete, whatever it is, we're able to assess the risk and offer you coverage for all type of structure and in every part of the country. Okay, so that is not a problem where the property is located. Okay, we also recommend that persons, especially with intention to offer it for commercial use, that you also consider liability insurance, which would cover persons who will rent the property and so forth. And in addition, also consider your content insurance, because the property insurance will cover the building, but not necessarily your content. And we know sometimes that there is also a great investment in the content of this property. So we are able to cover whatever and everything that you require us to cover once you own property in our country. Aria, you want to interject anything at this time? Sonia or Samantha, would you want to also interject and share some additional information in terms of the property and the liability?
Sure, Miss Marsha. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I had some technical difficulties this morning logging in. My name is Sonia Tun. I'm the Business Development and Marketing Executive at Belize Insurance Center. We are an agent for CG United. Similar to what Ms. Gill has explained, it is a privilege to be here and able to facilitate your transition from the US to Belize. We have seen a growth in that sector in the last 15 to 20 years. And it's countrywide, all the way from the tip top to Corozal, all the way to down south in Punta Gorda. What we have seen is similar, like Ms. Marsha said, a lot of expats are investing in their second residence or their vacation home, or some have done what we call like a strata, like they rent out their property when they're not here and they're part of a community, or they have just their own property and they rent it on their own. We offer a comprehensive line of products, from vehicle insurance, which includes golf carts, vehicles, motorcycles, all the way to high-end resorts and strata plans. We have a couple on the books. We also do hotels. We do bed and breakfast. So we cater to every facility that you might require. At the moment, for private buildings, we are promoting our homeowners comprehensive insurance, which includes burglary. And we also encourage you to have a caretaker on your property if it's a vacation rental, because the building cannot be left on its own. For commercial properties, we're in the process of also offering what we call a commercial all-risk property, which includes burglary as well, among other amenities on the policy, depending on what the usage of the building. So we also, like Ms. Marsha said, Ms. Marsha basically covered everything. I'm just expanding a little on it. We also do liability, which includes public liability, which covers product liability and liability to the public that come on your property. The homeowners plus includes that as well. That includes public liability personal with no additional charge, but that's if the building is primarily used just for residential purposes. If you're going to construct your building, we also offer insurance for that, which is a contractor's all risk. So our products are so many, it's a very long list to go through, but the primary ones that I think most people encounter are your fire policy, which would be the homeowners comprehensive, and the commercial all risk if you're doing a commercial business, your motor insurance for your car, your golf cart, your motorcycle, and then your liability policies. We encourage our clients to get liability policies because sometimes you might not think that it can happen, but it does. Someone goes to visit you, they slip, they hurt their back, your stairs don't have railing, and they miss their step and they hurt themselves. That cost would be on you. So we encourage all our clients to think about it, look into it, and get as much coverage as they need. If you guys have any additional questions, Ms. Marsha and I, along with my coworker Samantha, who's our customer service representative, and she works very closely with Ms. Marsha, will be here to answer any questions. So thank you.
Miss Ari or
Aria.
Oh, apologies. Thank you so much, Ms. Stone, for your presentation. But I do have some questions regarding insurance. What all types of insurance are there? I know we have health, you have home, life insurance, auto insurance. Do you insure businesses also?
Yes, we do. We insure the property where you are doing the business from. For example, like abroad, we would insure the supermarket, the building itself. If you are renting, we would insure your stock. We have a policy called business interruption. For example, in COVID, we were locked down for like a couple of months. I remember, I think it was like April and May or something like that. So that would compensate you for your loss at that time. We also offer public liability for corporate policies, employer's liability in the event that your staff gets hurt on the job, and social security is not enough to compensate them, then we cover that as well. We offer fidelity guarantee if you're a company that deals with a lot of financial information, a lending institution, we offer the fidelity guarantee as well. So we do offer everything for corporate and private policies.
Okay. How does local insurance compare to the international one in comparison to coverage and cost?
Well, from my experience, I've been in the insurance industry almost 20 years. Um, and I've dealt with other companies that are international. Like I was working at the Radisson, and I have seen where it is comparable to them. Some say it's cheaper, but I think it depends on the state, and then some say it's a little bit more expensive. So it just depends on the state where they are from. But I can tell you, for example, like we cover fire automatically on all our policies, but in the US, not all the states cover fire under their insurance policies. Some of them would have to purchase the fire insurance policy from their local state. So that's a difference there. So it just depends on the state they're from.
can I interject here also?
Sure,
Sure.
Mr.
Firstly, I just researched recently about for example, the wildfires, a recent example. Most of the insurance companies didn't want to accept the risk given that the areas are prone to the wildfires. And we can see that no, majority of those homes that were burned down don't have cover because the insurance companies refuse because of the climate in that area.
Right.
And we have our hurricane season, and we are hesitant to take on the risk given that we know that Belize is prominent when it comes to like middle of the year with hurricanes, and we're always a target given the situation of our country. So we would definitely majority of the time take on the risk given the natural disasters.
Um, regarding health insurance, or specifically health insurance, Belize is now implemented a national health insurance scheme, and how, because health becomes an important aspect for retirees. If I get insurance in Belize, do you cover pre-existing conditions? One, and are your clients required to use the national health system, or are they allowed to go into private health care?
Okay, so NHI has been introduced over 20 years now, and it provides primary care. So when it goes beyond primary care, then definitely personally, you have to have something in place. We're not required to utilize NHI. That's an option that you can consider. So for the most part, it is encouraged to do individual health insurance because it does allow you to seek more treatment and the best treatment that is available in Belize and, as I said, in the region. Okay. In terms of pre-existing conditions, once you're accepted on the plan and it is established that you have a pre-existing condition or conditions, those are covered. In the first year, there is a limit that is available for that specific condition. But after the first year of being on the plan, the pre-existing condition is covered like any other condition. So it's only in the first year of the plan that there's a limit as to the expenses related to that specific condition.
Thank you. Regarding auto insurance now, is auto insurance mandatory? I know the answer is yes, but I'm just asking because some people might want to know. And what is the minimum coverage required in auto insurance and the maximum? Because I know, for example, in the US, if it's a newer car, they're going to do comprehensive, depending on if there's a loan on the vehicle. But if there's none, you don't have to get a comprehensive plan. Do they offer both the basic, what's the basic and comprehensive insurance for auto care?
Okay.
So the only insurance in Belize that is mandatory is motor insurance. And the basic coverage that is required is the third party act. Okay, so even if your vehicle is a brand new vehicle, you're not obligated to insure it, for example, for comprehensive and any other enhanced insurance. So the law requires minimum a third party act insurance on motor vehicle. And as far as I know, that is the only mandatory insurance in Belize.
And in that
Sonia, can you add further on it?
Yes, Ms. Marsha, as far as we are aware, that's the only mandatory insurance in place, which is the third party act that all vehicles must have. But again, that is the minimum. For example, that only covers you for 20,000 property damage. And then if you have any accident and you damage another vehicle or a fence or something, and it is in excess of that, then you would be responsible for it. You would be responsible for it to pay the difference. Right? So we always, even though we have it easily accessible, we encourage people to get the minimum, the third party standard and above, especially if their vehicle qualifies for it.
And above, you mean
Now, in reference to
comprehensive?
the comprehensive and the comprehensive, I was just going to go on that, Ms. Aria. The comprehensive, we have an age limit of 7 years. However, if the vehicle is well kept and maintained, we will consider allowing maybe another year or two, depending on the condition of the vehicle, of course.
Okay. I'm going now to property insurance. These are just questions I was asking. What types of property insurance? I know you guys kind of went over this, but this is going to be a big aspect of people who want insurance in Belize, their property to be insured. And, Belize doesn't really have earthquakes. But there has been earthquake in the region, and Belize has felt tremors in the past. Does insurance go beyond earthquakes? For example, I know she mentioned wildfires. You know, could you tell us what types of damages is covered in Belize?
Our policies are very comprehensive. Your standard fire, which would be your basic fire policy that most insurance would cover, would be fire, of course, electrical fire, flooding, hurricane, flooding not caused by the hurricane itself, earthquake, windstorms, because sometimes we get a lot of wind here and we don't even know where it comes from. So those would be, we have a list of natural disasters that it covers. I can't remember all of them off bat, but I know earthquake, hurricane, flooding not caused by hurricane, flooding caused by hurricane as well, electrical fire. Those are the main ones, the bigger ones that people ask about. Then it's similar to the vehicle where you have different classes, right? So that would be your basic standard fire policy. And then from there, you can go to your homeowner's comprehensive, where that would cover burglary, for example, and it would cover impact damage, like if a vehicle is backing into the yard that is not your vehicle and it damages your gate, that is what we consider impact. Or if something falls a satellite falls from the sky, it's not owned by anyone, then that is covered as well. Then that policy also covers personal liability, which means one of my favorite examples is I have a son, he's 20 now, but when he was younger, he was playing, they were throwing a plastic Coke bottle from one of them to the next. And the little boy didn't catch it and it knocked his tooth. And my policy covered that he could have gone to the dentist under the personal liability. So that
Oh,
is an example of the personal liability. Public liability as well, where if someone comes in your yard that does not live in the yard and they slip on the steps or something happens to them, then that would cover them once it is proven that it was negligence on the owner's end. Employer's liability as well. If you have someone that comes and cleans your yard or does the residence cleaning and stuff like that, it would cover them as well. So that would be your homeowner's comprehensive. Now for the commercial side, we have similar in the sense that we have the standard fire commercial policy, which would cover you for the fire and the extra perils. And then you have an upgrade from that, which would be the commercial all risk policy, which would include the burglary.
so, like in the US, a lot of people are now required to purchase flood insurance separately, for example, Florida, than their regular insurance. Is that how it is in Belize, or is it everything is just covered under one insurance plan?
Everything is covered under one insurance plan. We don't need to purchase it separately. We cover flooding, like for example, in Belize when you get heavy rains, regular heavy rains, it gets flooded. If you receive damages from that, that would be covered. Then you would also be covered in the event there's a massive hurricane or a hurricane in general and it causes flooding, then that would be covered. So you're covered on both ends.
So, for example, in your risk assessment, what affects the cost? For example, you're living in front of the sea. Do you have regions where the coverage would be higher than other areas? What affects your cost of property insurance?
Well, the cost is affected. We do it based on the construction of the building, the look and the location. No, for example, you gave a good example there where you said if it's by the sea. If it's by the sea and you're building, you're currently constructing, we would recommend that you construct at an elevated height rather than on the flat. Miss Aria, as you know, back in the day when our parents were building, they used to build flat on the ground
Right.
and it kind of sunk, right? So, in order to prevent that, we encourage when you're building from scratch to do it at an elevated height. The next item, so it would be the location and it would be the construction of the building. We offer the same kind of coverage. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
no, because I got a little note on my end that says something went wrong. So on our end, we offer the same coverage, whether you're in San Ignacio, Corozal, San Pedro, St. George's Key, we offer the same coverage across the board.
Okay. What do people need when they're filing a claim? Say they suffered some damage, what are the steps to filing a claim?
Depending on the claim, well, they're almost the same in the sense that they have to fill out a claim form, whether it's property or a motor claim. We have a form that they would need to fill out. We would need pictures of the damages, and we would need at least two estimates to repair it. If it is, for example, if it is a property claim and it is a major damage like 60-70% of the building, then we would get an adjuster to come in and see. But if it's a small thing where it had suffered smoke damage from another neighbor or something like that, and it's something we can assess in house and it's not major, then that would be the protocol, the claim form, pictures and estimates.
And normally, once the person submits everything, how long does it normally take for a claim to be paid?
I will be honest with you, Miss Aria. we normally like to pay out as quick as possible. So our claims officer normally follows up in order to get all the documents. Sometimes the person that is supposed to submit, they take a little while or they don't understand why they're supposed to do so. So that holds up on our end. But I have seen claims be done by 10 days because the person was very consistent in getting everything that they needed to get. And I've seen some that take a little longer because you're behind them to get another estimate or to ensure that they get the proper pictures and that sort of thing. So it's very dependent on the person that is submitting the claim.
Okay, thank you. Um, Regarding the expats and the non-resident community that is expanding in Belize, um, are there any requirements? And I think Ms. Marsha covered it, where she discussed the fact that you have to be a resident of Belize to be able to access health insurance. But regarding the expat and non-expat property owners, um, do you have any suggestions of the types of insurance that they should consider when they're in Belize?
For
So
prop,
it would be in the line, all the general insurance, they would be able to access. So that would include all the things we mentioned, such as the motor, the property, the liability, all those line of insurance does not require a resident status. The only insurance that would require a resident status would be the life and the health and the endowments and so forth.
Okay, and you guys also cover insurance for boats, right? If somebody has boats or small aircrafts, you guys cover that also?
Yes, Sonia, can you elaborate on that area?
yes, we cover marine policies for pleasure in the event you have a sailboat, and we also cover if you transport people from, let's say you live on the south side of San Pedro that doesn't have a road, so you have to transport them from the mainland, the main section in San Pedro to the end. We do cover that with passenger liability, and that is a new requirement by law that they need a minimum of 500,000 in passenger liability and third party liability. So that has increased as well.
And do you also cover small aircrafts? Like if somebody's because I recently saw somebody advertising a community for pilots. Like, do you cover people who are commercial, not commercial, but personal pilots?
If they have a plane, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, if they have a plane, I would have to confirm that. Samantha, do you know if we've done that in the past?
I think we queried um with our head office, and I think they were assessing that risk item, but we'd have to double check to see if
Okay.
they do aviation or anything with aviation.
Okay. So, for example, somebody comes to Belize, that might be not a deterrent, but there might be some difficulty in accessing aviation type insurance.
We would just need to cross check it.
Okay, okay,
I
But
think
Miss Aria,
that would be from my experience, because I have requested in the past, from my experience, it's a case by case.
okay,
yes.
Yes.
okay. Would there be any challenges, and for example, so that people can anticipate it, what additional requirements or challenges experts may face when purchasing any insurance in Belize?
I don't think that there's any obstacles per se. It's just to provide the necessary required documents in accordance with our anti-money laundering requirements. So it would be just to verify to provide proof of IDs, address if you're doing it in a business name, because I noticed a lot of the properties are bought in company names.
Right.
It would be to provide like the articles and all the documentation required for these companies, who are the people that own the company, to provide that information on, you know, the directors, the owners, and so forth. So it's basic information that is required to be submitted. So I would not say that there's any challenge, because as I said, I've done several in the past. And once these information is submitted, there's no obstacle as to, you know, placing the insurance.
Are people who live abroad, expats, Belizean Americans, are they able to pay for these insurance premiums over here? Because that seemed to be one of the big issues with how they can pay for, do you guys accept credit cards and stuff to allow them to pay in that way?
Yes, we do. So we do, and that's how most of them will pay. So yes, we are set up to accept credit card payments. As a matter of fact, we are also able to offer installment. So if the client requires that, because all these premiums for general insurance is an annual premium, because I know in the US sometimes it can be monthly,
Yes.
but here it's an annual premium. So they can request installment, and we do work with our clients to do installment payments.
Okay, great. Donald, I'm gonna pick on you. Do you have any questions today regarding getting insurance in Belize?
No, I think I'm just in the infantile stages of learning more about what's available.
Okay.
I try to plan next steps in my life and retirement. Looks like, hey, I was thinking about Mexico and learning Spanish, but there's not the language barrier.
Yeah.
But thinking more, of course, I'm still looking at Belize more by Chetmanthal to be closer to Mexico, because it's got affinity for Mexico City.
Okay.
But definitely love the culture, a lot of aspects that I can see myself transitioning to Belize in the next couple of years. As I mentioned before, I'll be there again in like a couple of weeks. Then got a couple friends down there that makes it a little bit easier to navigate. And I think this piece, getting information on some of the real particulars as you make a transition, knowing about your health insurance, how do you get your car, how do you insure it, how those things take place, and what does it look like financially.
Yeah. And I will add that Belize is a ex-British colony. And so the similarities with the US laws is what a lot of people who are moving to Belize actually like. They like the way that the contracts and the documents, it's easy to transition in that aspect. I will just throw out that in Mexico, you can own property openly or outrightly.
Oh,
So,
I know. Hey, it's even some places like that in the US.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you
So,
can, I lived in Baltimore, and they have this thing called ground rent, where it's somebody that owns the ground that the house you own is on top of, and you pay them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they do it in Florida too, in those trailer parks. Basically, it's similar. It's a very similar structure where they just rent you the space, and they own the property. Do you have, well, Marsha, do you have any other thing to offer? Because I really think this was an excellent presentation. Thank you, Miss Sonia and Miss Samantha, for providing all this wealth of information, because it becomes a point that most people think about after they purchase their properties, especially since a lot of them are doing cash purchases and they're purchasing outright. And then they realize, what about insurance? So insurance should be something that you should always consider. So with that being said, how would somebody reach out to you guys if they want a consultation with you?
So I offer a no obligation consultation, and I can be reached by email at marsha_gill@sagicor.com, and Array, you can share the information. Also, they can reach me direct, 501-615-9190, and that number can also be reached via WhatsApp. If they're in Belize and they would want, you know, to have a face-to-face, I'm open to that as well. So the thing is that we want to help persons to navigate through the process. because sometimes, you know, they may feel that it can be intimidating, but it really is not. So as much information that they need, the assistance that they may require, I am here for that. So they can feel free to contact me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I 100% recommend Miss Gill. Marsha, I've known her for umpteen years. She is one of Belize's top agents. She comes with a lot of credibility, and she comes with her reputation is stellar. So thank you again for taking time out today on your Saturday when most people want to sleep in to come in and do this presentation. It will be available on YouTube, and I will be sharing it so you can access it. And I will share her email information and number when I create the YouTube thing. So thank you so much, Donald. Thank you for joining all these ladies.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
God,
you all.
he was
Yeah,
the only thorn among the roses. I'm joking,
yeah.
Donald.
Hey, I totally appreciate you all hosting this. Thanks for letting me be a part of the Facebook community. That's how I found out about it. And I definitely will stay in contact as I, you know, make my transition over. I appreciate all of you all for hosting this today.
Take care.
I want to say thank you to Sonia and Samantha from Belize Insurance Center, you know, in joining me in this presentation. It was a pleasure for us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.